How to master skills for the TOEFL iBT Listening Advanced. Unit 1. Listening for main ideas. Sample iBT question. Listen to part of a lecture in a history class.
Today, class, I am going to be speaking to you about the Industrial Revolution. The term Industrial Revolution refers to the technological, social, economic, and cultural changes that occurred in England in the late 18th century. This change eventually spread around the world, creating many big cities based upon the ideals of manufacturing and capitalism. Prior to the Industrial Revolution, the production and harvesting of products was completed through manual labor. The Industrial Revolution replaced this manpower with machine power.
Question. What aspect of the Industrial Revolution does the professor mainly discuss? Practice with conversation. A. Listen to part of a conversation between a student and a librarian.
Excuse me, I was wondering if you could help me.
Yes, of course. How can I be of assistance?
Well, I'm writing a paper on how to train golden retrievers. A friend of mine recommended a book called Golden Retrievers, Puppyhood and Beyond. How would I go about finding this book?
Golden Retrievers, such lovely dogs. The first thing you need to know is that our library is set up on what is called the Dewey Decimal System. The Dewey Decimal System is split into 10 broad areas, with call numbers ranging from between 000 and 999.
That sounds complicated. I have to know and memorize the exact number of the book anywhere from between 000 and 999?
Oh, no. It's much more straightforward than that. You initially narrow your search by determining which of the 10 broad areas your topic falls under. For instance, a golden retriever is a dog, an animal, and animals fall under the category math and science in the Dewey Decimal System. These categories are numbered 500 to 599.
Okay, I think I see. So I need the math and science category for dogs. But what if I was researching something else? Can you tell me the other categories?
Certainly. The 10 areas are as follows, in order: general knowledge, psychology and philosophy, religions and mythology, social sciences and folklore, languages and grammar, math and science, medicine and technology, arts and recreation, literature, and geography and history.
Wow. Okay, so I have narrowed my search to the math and science section, and my book has a number that is somewhere between 500 and 599?
Yes, that's right. Now, to find out the exact number, you go to our card catalog, which is a filing system set up exactly as the books are arranged on the shelves.
Okay, so I go to the file that has the cards 500 to 599. Now what do I do?
Now each category is broken down into subcategories. For instance, you see in this file that math and science has subheadings such as biology, chemistry, dinosaurs, and so on. Find the category animals.
Okay, I see it.
You notice how all the books relating to animals have 599 as part of their number?
Oh, I get it. So I go through the cards that have 599 as part of the number, and the book I am looking for should be listed there. Here it is.
Exactly. What is the number?
Golden Retrievers, Puppyhood and Beyond is listed as number 599.68.
Good. So now you write down that number on a slip of paper, and you know exactly where to look for the book on the shelf.
Wow, this is so helpful, and I love this system. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could be of assistance.
1. What is the conversation mainly about? 2. What organizational system does the library employ? 3. Listen again to part of the conversation, then answer the question. Why does the student say this?
Okay, I think I see. So I need the math and science category for dogs, but what if I was researching something else? Can you tell me the other categories?
B. Listen to part of a conversation between a student and a professor.
Hi, Professor Smith. Do you have a minute?
Of course, Sally. What can I help you with?
Well, I wanted to talk to you about my grade in your calculus class.
Okay, give me a second to find your information on this spreadsheet. Here it is. It looks like you're lagging behind on your homework assignments. And you've also missed quite a number of classes so far this semester. Is everything okay?
Well, I've been having a hard time this semester because I broke up with my boyfriend. We've been seeing each other for a bit, but he recently moved away from here. It's been hard trying to keep focused on school.
I'm sorry to hear that. It's certainly hard when someone important in our lives moves away. Coping with the end of a relationship can be difficult for anyone.
I know. It's been very difficult for me to deal with. I haven't been able to eat or sleep, and so when I'm in your class, I cannot concentrate because I am tired and hungry.
Well, that is not good. I suggest you try to get as much rest as possible and eat balanced meals. If not, your grades will not improve, and I'm afraid I'll be left with no choice but to fail you in my class.
Yes, I know, Professor Smith. I really don't want to fail, so that is why I am here.
I'm sorry, Sally. I guess I don't understand, as I have nothing to do with your relationships, and it is not I who is causing you not to eat or sleep. What can I do?
It is just that I was hoping you would take into consideration what I have been going through, and, well, I thought maybe you could overlook my bad test scores and just give me a passing grade.
Sally, you cannot be serious. What you are asking me to do is favoritism. It is nothing more than cheating.
But, Professor Smith, I've been under such stress.
That very well may be the case, Sally. But do you think you are the first person who has had to deal with personal issues while undertaking such serious matters as school or work? For instance, I am a married man with 2 children. Last year, when I was working on a very important paper for the university, my youngest child came down with a terrible case of the flu. My wife and I had to take turns staying up all night attending to her. I was tired, losing sleep, and worrying myself silly. But that did not stop me from coming to class every day, teaching, and seeing to my responsibilities. What you are asking me to do is not only unethical, but it also shows that you do not want to be an adult and take responsibility for your own actions.
Yes, you are right. I'm sorry. It was silly of me to ask such an absurd question. I need to realize that my boyfriend has decided to move away and there is nothing I can do about it. I promise to do better in your class. Can you forgive me for asking such a forward question?
Yes, Sally, of course. Let's just try to mend things and move on, shall we?
Yes, Professor Smith, and thank you for your time.
You're welcome, Sally. You can come and speak to me anytime.
1. What is the conversation mainly about? 2. According to the student, why is she lagging behind in the class? 3. What can be inferred from the conversation? C. Listen to part of a conversation between a student and a bookstore clerk.
Hi, I would like to purchase this book.
Can I have your card, please?
Card? Oh, the book card. I don't have it with me right now. I left it at home, but I think you can identify me with my phone number, right? My phone number is 683-8585, and my name is registered as Julie.
Very good, miss. If you would just bear with me a moment, I will pull up your records.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Julie, but my computer indicates that the last time you were in our store, you asked to make a deferred payment, due 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry to tell you this, but it seems like you have still not made the payment.
What? Are you certain? I find that highly dubious. I am sure I made that payment. What was it for?
Let's see. Our records show that we allowed you to take 2 textbooks that were required for your biology class under the condition that we would send you a bill through the mail and that you would pay it by the due date. You have missed that due date, and until you pay the arrears, I cannot let you purchase another item.
Oh my God, there must have been something wrong. I need this book right now. It is for my English class, and we are having a lecture on the text tomorrow, but I only have enough money to buy this book.
Well, I am sorry, Julie, but either you find more money, or you return the book to the shelf and pay only for the 2 textbooks which are already in your possession.
Well, I don't believe this. I have never heard of such treatment. I could have sworn I received the bill and put a check in the mail. I blame the school post office.
I am sorry again, Julie, but one of the stipulations on the deferment slip is that we are not responsible if the school post office happens to misplace your check should you decide to put it through the mail, which it appears you did.
Well, I refuse to pay another dime for the book. Oh, wait a moment. Silly me. The payment I put in the mail was for another store, for a set of folders I bought for my accounting class. Excuse my rudeness. And you are right. I received the bill for the textbooks, but I stuck it on my dresser and forgot all about it. Here is what I will do. Allow me just to put this book back on the rack. I can borrow my friend's book until I have enough money to come back and purchase my own. That way, I will have enough money to pay for the 2 textbooks I received last week.
That sounds like a good plan.
Thank you for your patience and for being so kind.
You are welcome, Julie. It is not a problem. 1. What is the conversation mainly about? 2. What did the student actually pay for through the mail? 3. Listen again to part of the conversation, then answer the question. What does the student mean when she says this?
Oh my God, there must have been something wrong. I need this book right now. It is for my English class, and we are having a lecture on the text tomorrow, but I only have enough money to buy this book.
D. Listen to part of a conversation between a student and a professor.
Hi, Professor. I am here for my 9 o'clock appointment.
Good morning. So you're here to register for next semester's classes?
Yes, that's right. I want to make sure that I am signing up for the courses that I need for my journalism major.
Let me get out the journalism requirements checklist so we can make sure that you're taking the classes you need. Here we go. Okay, now how many course hours do you want to have next semester?
As few as possible. I really don't want to get burned out.
Well, I can understand that. I was a student once too, but remember that you need 126 credit hours to graduate, and I suspect you want to graduate in the usual 4 years?
Oh, yes. I really can't afford to stay longer than 4 years.
Okay, so keeping that in consideration, I would recommend that you take at least 15 to 18 hours each semester.
Well, okay. I took 15 credit hours each for the last 2 semesters, and I'm signed up for 6 credit hours of summer school. 15 hours hasn't been so bad, so maybe I'll continue with that. But can we try to schedule my classes so that I get to sleep in a little bit in the mornings?
Sure, absolutely. And the fact that you took so many credits last semester means you've gotten off to a good start. Have you taken all the required courses for first-year journalism students?
Yes, I have. Oh, wait a minute. I actually took a biology class instead of a mass communications class. Is that a problem?
No, it's not a problem. Actually, you need to take 2 science classes before you graduate, so now you have filled one of those 2 requirements. But you definitely need to take the mass communication class this next semester because it is a prerequisite for other classes that you need.
Oh, that's good to know. Well, I'll write down that course to take next semester. Should I take my other science class in the fall semester also?
It would be a good idea to take that class in one of the next 2 semesters so you can focus on the classes in your major. Is there a science class offered next semester that interests you?
There is a geology class that looks interesting, and I've heard good things about the professor. It's offered at 3 different times, so I should be able to work that in around my other classes.
Great, so I will sign this for you now. Do you have any other questions while you're here?
Not that I can think of at the moment. Thank you very much for helping me, Professor.
No problem. That's what I'm here for. Good luck next semester.
1. What is this conversation mostly about? 2. Why is it better that the student take another biology class? 3. What can be inferred from the conversation? Practice with lectures. A. Listen to part of a lecture in a music class. Today, class, we are going to be talking about opera.
Opera? Oh no. I know what that is. Operas are so boring.
Boring? Not at all. Operas are dramas that employ the use of music.
They are dramas? I thought an opera was when performers dressed up in costumes and then sang in foreign languages on stage.
Well, I am sure an opera appears that way if you don't know what is happening. Why don't we look at the history of opera to find out exactly what an opera is and how this form of drama evolved? We have the ancient Greeks to thank for inspiring this form of expression. The ancient Greeks performed dramas that incorporated music and singing, and sometimes even dancing.
The ancient Greeks? But when I think of opera, I think of a large woman wearing a horned helmet, and she is singing in, I don't know, German? Italian?
Either one would be correct, as both the Germans and Italians embraced operatic performances. Modern opera began in Italy during the Renaissance. One of the very first modern operas was composed during the late 16th century by Jacopo Peri. It was called Daphne, and was an opera based on a Greek myth.
It is hard enough to follow a play. Why must they add such complicated songs? Sometimes it sounds like the singers are screaming.
Those complicated songs, as you refer to them, are known as arias. An aria is a complex musical passage created to showcase a singer's vocal range. But can you think of another reason why a wide range in vocal sound might be important?
To show when someone is angry?
Close. An aria allows the performer to express a varied range of emotions through the tone of his singing. It can be compared to how babies cry using differing intonations depending on their need, say hunger or tiredness.
Are Italy and Germany the only places where operas are performed?
Not at all. The art form of opera is very popular all over the world, but especially in Europe. Venice, Italy, was where the first opera house was created. But there are opera houses in England, France, Portugal, Spain, and Russia. Still, because opera is thought of as an Italian art form, composers from other countries such as Germany's Handel and Austria's Mozart still wrote their works in Italian. It wasn't until later that composers felt confident enough to write operas in their own language.
It seems that everyone ends up dying in an opera. Are all operas so morbid?
Again, you are thinking of opera in its cliched form. Just as a play can be a comedy or a tragedy, so too can operas. The most popular is the one you mentioned, the opera seria, which has a dramatic plot that may involve death. But there is also the opera comique, which is a comical opera. Operettas are shorter versions of operas that often have comical plots.
Can you recommend an opera to us? They don't appear so boring after all.
Certainly. There is, of course, Puccini's Madame Butterfly, Mozart's The Marriage of Figaro, George Bizet's Carmen, or Wagner's Der Ring der Nibelungen. These are all examples of dramas that utilize music, singing, or dancing. 1. What is this lecture mostly about? 2. What is the difference between a play and an opera? 3. Listen again to part of the lecture, then answer the question. Why does the professor say this? Those complicated songs, as you refer to them, are known as arias. An aria is a complex musical passage created to showcase a singer's vocal range. But can you think of another reason why a wide range in vocal sound might be important? B. Listen to part of a lecture in an agriculture class.
We've been talking a lot about how rice is prepared, but what is the actual origin of rice?
An excellent question, but one that is complicated.
Complicated?
Yes, because it all depends on which way you approach the question. Do you mean the origin of wild rice or domestic rice? Are you interested in the scientific origin of rice, or are you interested in the mythological story surrounding it? Let's assume you are interested in all the possibilities and begin with wild rice. Now, because wild rice occurs naturally, it is very hard to pin down a precise date in history when it first developed. What is known, however, is that the earliest evidence of rice dates back more than 16,000 years ago, when the Great Ice Age was coming to an end. Early humans, who were once mainly hunters, now cultivated the land, gathering, among other things, wild rice. Scientists know this because microscopic rice cells have been discovered near the sites of these ancient civilizations. What is also known, through a process called electrophoresis, is that cultivated rice from areas as widespread as Australia, Asia, Africa, and North America all stem from one common type of rice that existed when the continents were connected. Despite the widespread distribution of rice, there are 20 wild species spread across 4 continents. Experts believe the likely location of its origin is Asia, due to a 1920s finding of rice imprints from the Yangshou site in northern China, circa 3200 to 2500 BC in the 1920s.
That is wild rice, but what about the rice that we eat today?
Domestic rice originates back to the early days of Chinese culture. Various archaeological sites revealed deep rice paddies in Hunan province. The oldest paddy sites date from nearly 12,000 years ago in an area just south of the Three Gorges Dam in the middle of the Yangtze River.
But what do you mean by domestic? Does domestic just mean that it is collected by people?
No, people can harvest wild rice, but that doesn't make it domestic. Domestication happens when people plant seeds to form a new generation of rice that carries certain desired traits. For example, early humans would have tried to grow heartier crops or crops that yielded more volume, so they would have sown only seeds from crops that exhibited those positive traits.
That is the science behind the origin of rice, but I want to hear the myths.
Well, I am certain there's more than one myth behind the origin of rice, but I will briefly summarize one such legend, called the gift of the sky flood. The Chinese story states that a long time ago, a girl named Shuhua lived with her family cultivating buckwheat along the bank of the Yangtze River. One year, however, powerful rains flooded the area, and so Shuhua and her family were driven to higher ground. During the flood, Shua spied a wild dog clinging to a floating log. Shua saved the dog, and later, as she was running her fingers through the dog's fur, Shua found a small seedling. The very next day, Shua planted the seedling on the higher, yet still marshy ground, and year after year the plant thrived, yielding the grains which were later to be known as rice. So you see, there are 3 different ways to look at the origin of rice.
1. What is the lecture mainly about? 2. What is the main difference between wild and domestic rice? 3. What can be inferred from the lecture? C. Listen to part of a lecture in a public health class.
Yesterday we ended our lecture with a discussion of cavities. Today we will be discussing oral plaque. Does anyone know the definition of oral plaque?
Is oral plaque a buildup of sugar on your teeth?
That is a good guess. Plaque can build up on your teeth due to the ingestion of too much sugar, but oral plaque is actually a yellowish sticky film of bacteria. It is not so much the presence of this particular bacteria that is bad for your teeth. After all, it occurs naturally within our mouths. It is the failure properly to clean the plaque from our teeth on a day-to-day basis that leads to what we discussed yesterday, dental cavities or even more serious diseases such as periodontitis or gingivitis.
But if the bacteria that makes up plaque occurs naturally, then it must be good for us. And if it is good for us, why would it lead to cavities or diseases?
Good question. It is because if the plaque is not removed regularly, it hardens into what is known as tartar. Tartar is a very hard substance that irritates our gums, causing them to grow red and swollen. And once tartar starts collecting near the gum line, it becomes very difficult to clean your teeth properly. Your gums may even start to bleed, leading to one of the diseases I named earlier, gingivitis.
Ooh, that sounds disgusting.
It is very disgusting, and a serious problem if a person fails to take proper care of his teeth. The good news is that the body has a natural defense against plaque, and so with regular brushing and regular visits to the dentist, you can help protect your teeth from the buildup of plaque.
Would diligent brushing be good enough? I just hate going to the dentist.
I wish I could say yes, but it is imperative that you see a dentist at least twice a year, so that he or she can clean plaque not only from your teeth, but also from below the gum line. Once the dentist has cleaned your teeth thoroughly, it takes 3 to 4 months for the plaque to return. In the meantime, your own saliva is doing its utmost to help you keep plaque at bay by actively neutralizing the acidic environment caused by the bacteria. Eventually, however, the plaque builds up to such a level that your saliva is no longer able to penetrate and neutralize the acidity. When that happens, the microorganisms in the plaque release their acids, which attack your tooth enamel and cause it to break down.
I guess I never considered the serious consequences of not brushing my teeth regularly.
Well, don't worry too much. The practice of good oral hygiene, daily brushing and flossing, is the best way to prevent the buildup of plaque. This, combined with regular visits to the dentist, should keep you in good oral health.
1. What is the lecture mainly about? 2. What is one way that oral plaque can affect teeth? 3. How does the professor organize this lecture? D. Listen to part of a lecture in a zoology class. Today we are going to be discussing the beautiful and yet intimidating animal, the tiger. First of all, I am assuming everyone knows what animal I'm talking about when I mention the word tiger.
I do. A tiger is a mammal with orange and black striped fur. It also has white markings on its face, chest, and underside.
Good. And did you also know that no two tigers share the same stripe pattern?
So their stripes are like our fingerprints. Each has their own unique print.
Yes, an excellent analogy.
Professor, but one time I was at a zoo and I saw an all-white tiger. Was it sick?
Oh no, not sick. What you saw was something very rare, an albino tiger.
An albino tiger? What is that?
An albino tiger is a tiger with a marked deficiency in skin pigmentation, for example, white fur, pinkish eyes, and no stripes, due to a hereditary defect.
The tiger I saw was enormous. When you see tigers on television or in a magazine or book, they never appear that big.
A tiger's size can be very deceiving. Did you know that they are the largest of all the cats?
No way! Lions are the largest cat.
One would think so, but a lion's mane can actually add to the illusion that it is bigger than a tiger. It is, however, the tiger that can grow up to 13 feet in length and weigh as much as 700 pounds, or as little as 200 pounds, and yet some tigers are as small as 4 feet.
That's a pretty big discrepancy in the range of tigers' length and weight. There must be a lot of different types of tigers.
Good observation. Most people may think that all tigers are the same. Besides the size differences that occur between males and females, there are also 8 subspecies of tiger that scientists have identified. The biggest tiger is the Siberian tiger.
With 8 different subspecies, you'd think we would see a lot of tigers, but aren't tigers on the endangered species list?
Unfortunately, yes. About 100 years ago, there were an estimated 100,000 tigers in the wild. Today, estimates are anywhere from 2,500 to 5,000, both in the wild and in wildlife preserves and zoos. And not all of the subspecies of tigers are still in existence. The Bali tiger, for example, became extinct in the 1940s. The Caspian and Javan tigers are also extinct. Of the remaining subspecies, all are endangered. These include the Siberian, Bengal, Indo-Chinese, Sumatran, and South China tigers.
Where are all of these tigers? Are they in North America? Australia?
In the past, tigers ranged anywhere between eastern Turkey and Asia. Now, sadly, most tigers are found only in parts of Asia.
But why are tigers endangered? They seem too beautiful and majestic to kill.
It is for this precise reason that tigers are becoming extinct. Poachers hunt them for their skins mainly, and many hunters consider them valuable as big game trophies. Also, as humans move into tiger habitats, people increasingly see the tigers as a threat to humans and their livestock and crops. 1. What is the lecture mainly about? 2. What is one way that human hunting can affect tigers? 3. What can be inferred from the above lecture? Integrated listening and speaking. A. Listen to a different version of the previous lecture and say the answers out loud.
Last week we defined an opera as a form of drama that incorporates music or dancing or both. Modern opera developed in Italy during the Renaissance, but the origin of operas goes further back, to the days of the ancient Greeks. The operatic movement quickly spread throughout Europe and into Russia during and after the Renaissance. Such widespread interest in the composition and production of operas naturally led to the art form acquiring many different elements. One such development was the operetta, a short opera often comical in nature. Opera seria is a dramatic opera, often involving death, and the opera comique is an opera comical in nature. However, one of the most famous elements of opera is the aria, a complex musical passage that exhibits a singer's amazing vocal range.
1. How would you describe an opera? 2. Who was the first to develop opera? 3. What is an aria? B. Listen to a different version of the previous lecture and say the answers out loud.
I hope everyone is brushing their teeth, as yesterday we discussed oral plaque and defined it as a yellowish sticky film of bacteria that forms naturally on our teeth. If the plaque is not properly removed, it may build up into the hard substance known as tartar. If the tartar is not removed, it can lead to such oral diseases as gingivitis or periodontitis. Our saliva does its best to combat the buildup of oral plaque by helping to break down the bacteria by actively neutralizing the acidic environment. The best way to prevent oral plaque is to brush and floss daily and to visit your dentist regularly.
1. How would you describe oral plaque? 2. If oral plaque is not properly removed, what can it build up into? 3. What should you do to try to prevent the buildup of oral plaque? TOEFL iBT practice test. Listen to part of a conversation between two college students. Hi, Susan. How are you?
Oh, hello, Mike. It's great to see you. Things are going well, thanks. Actually, I'm moving this weekend.
Moving? You mean from the dormitory? You live in East Hall now on campus, right?
Yes, I do. I've been there for more than 2 years now.
Where are you moving? Is your new place off campus?
Yes, it is off campus. I am moving into an apartment complex. It's only 4 blocks from campus, over off Stevens Street and Adams Road, so it's not too far away.
That's not bad at all. I actually just moved myself, and my place isn't too far from yours. I'm in a different apartment complex, over off Stevens Street and Garfield Road. It's just 1 street away from you, actually. I usually walk or ride my bike to class, and it usually takes me about 10 minutes to get to campus.
Wow, I had no idea that you'd even moved. So how do you like living off campus? Do you find that it's difficult to make it to your classes, especially the ones early in the morning?
I love off-campus life. Even though I've been there only a month now, I find that there are plenty of things to do. There are a lot of other college students living in my apartment building, so not only are there fun people there to hang out with, but we also help each other study.
I never thought of it that way. I know more and more people are moving off campus now that the college is accepting more freshmen. Some of my friends are already living in my apartment building, so we're planning on meeting to walk to the library together in the evenings so we can study there. And a lot of us have classes at the same times, so we're going to go to class together in the mornings.
That's wonderful.
So how did you choose your new apartment? It seems like there are so many around here to choose from.
You're right. There are a lot of places nearby. My friend Carl and I wanted to rent a place together, so we just sat down and tried to determine what was important to us. First, we wanted it to be affordable. We also wanted to be relatively close to campus, and we wanted it to be in a pretty safe neighborhood.
Those sound pretty much like the same reasons my friend Cindy and I thought of. We are renting together. We saw a bunch of places before we finally decided on the one we got. We also wanted to be able to have a dog, though, so that limited the options, too.
Our place allows cats, so we've been thinking about getting one. Being able to have pets is definitely one of the benefits of off-campus living.
Yes, it certainly is. Our place also has an exercise room and a swimming pool.
So does ours. I used to live on campus near the Student Recreation Center, and I used it all the time. Since I'm not that close to it anymore, it was great to be able to rent an apartment in a building with an exercise room. I use ours all the time.
We're excited about having one in our building, too. And since our exercise room is open 24 hours a day, we'll have more options as far as the times that we work out.
Hey, it's been great talking with you, Susan, but my psychology class is starting in 2 minutes, so I need to get going.
My anthropology class is getting ready to start as well, so I should go too.
It was good seeing you. Take care.
It was good to see you too. Bye.
1. What is this conversation mostly about? 2. Why was the woman limited in her choice of apartments? 3. Listen again to part of the conversation, then answer the question.
So, how did you choose your new apartment? It seems like there are so many around here to choose from.
You're right. There are a lot of places nearby. My friend Carl and I wanted to rent a place together, so we just sat down and tried to determine what was important to us. First, we wanted it to be affordable. We also wanted to be relatively close to campus. And we wanted it to be in a pretty safe neighborhood.
Those sound pretty much like the same reasons my friend Cindy and I thought of. We are renting together. She saw a bunch of places before we finally decided on it. We also wanted to be able to have a dog, though, so that limited the options, too.
What was most important to the man when searching for a place to live? 4. What can be inferred about the man? 5. What is the man probably going to do next? Listen to part of a lecture in a literature class.
I really loved reading Hamlet, Prince of Denmark. Who was William Shakespeare that he could write such an amazing play?
Ah, Shakespeare, truly an amazing man, and such an enigma.
An enigma? But why?
Well, it is because there are many conflicting historical reports of the great English bard. For instance, no one knows exactly on which date Shakespeare was born. All that is known is that he was most likely born at one of his father's two houses on Henley Street in Stratford-upon-Avon, England. The earliest record of Shakespeare was recorded on April 26, 1564, in Holy Trinity Church in Stratford, but only because it was custom to baptize a child 3 days after his birth. So Shakespeare's birthday is recognized as April 23rd, which, coincidentally enough, was the same day as his burial 52 years later.
Wow, that is a coincidence. But did he learn to write plays when he was at school? How did he become such a great writer?
Actually, there is no record of Shakespeare having gone to school, although there is no record against it either. Things were not recorded as meticulously as they are today. What is known is that William Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway in 1582, when Shakespeare was just 18 years old and Anne Hathaway was 26 years old. Soon after, they had 3 children. From 1585 through 1592, there is no official record as to what William Shakespeare was up to. It is speculated, based on the range of knowledge revealed in his plays, that William could have been doing as many things as moneylending, gardening, sailing, scavenging, soldiering, printing, or even working as a schoolmaster in those lost years. Whatever the case, Shakespeare moved to London in 1592, and that is when Shakespeare's name first started showing up in records, most of them surrounding the realm of theater. From 1589 to 94, William was working hard, writing the plays Henry VI, Titus Andronicus, and The Comedy of Errors. It was also during that time that the dreaded bubonic plague hit England, closing down the London theaters, and so Shakespeare spent most of his time writing poetry. For the next 2 years, he would be busy writing both plays and poetry, and in 1597 he purchased New Place, the second largest house in Stratford-upon-Avon, where his wife and children lived, making frequent trips between there and London, balancing work and family life. In 1599, he became one of the prime shareholders in the popular playhouse The Globe in London, and he had a hand in all aspects of play production. The following 9 years would prove to be Shakespeare's most productive. In that time, he wrote the great plays Twelfth Night, Troilus and Cressida, Hamlet, Othello, Measure for Measure, King Lear, Macbeth, and more.
So many plays in one lifetime.
Indeed. He continued writing plays until 1613, moving permanently out of London around the year 1611 to live out the rest of his days in Stratford. On April 23, 1616, the great English bard, William Shakespeare, breathed his last and died.
1. What is the main idea of the lecture? 2. Why is there a discrepancy with some of the facts of William Shakespeare's life? 3. Listen again to part of the lecture, then answer the question.
From 1585 through 1592, there is no official record as to what William Shakespeare was up to. It is speculated, based on the range of knowledge revealed in his plays, that William could have been doing as many things as moneylending, gardening, sailing, scavenging, soldiering, printing, or even working as a schoolmaster in those lost years. Whatever the case, Shakespeare moved to London in 1592, and that is when Shakespeare's name first started showing up in records, most of them surrounding the realm of theater.
Why do scholars speculate that William Shakespeare had a variety of jobs in between the years 1585 and 1592? 4. Listen again to part of the lecture, then answer the question. What does the professor mean when he says this?
Ah, Shakespeare, truly an amazing man, and such an enigma.
5. Why does the professor mention the bubonic plague? 6. During which of the following time periods did Shakespeare write each of these plays?